Alrighty, guys. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. Just got done walking Indy, still training him on how not to pull on the leash. He's a 100-pound dog, and he's got at least, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 pounds of pull. So he's getting better. He is motivated by treats. But either way, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I am your host, Patrick Vallejos. We're broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. We will be discussing the Abby and Libby case, also known as the Delphi murders. A lot of information to go over. I'm sure you guys have a lot to add. Not exactly sure where to start. We have a little experiment I'd like to do with you. It's going to take crowd participation for sure. And then we'll just go over the information that we've been presented with over the last 2 days during jury selection, mini statements, and all those who have been reporting from inside the courtroom. Aaron Cash, here's my thoughts on the case. In the beginning, the state left open the door that there are more involved. Now we understand why they did. Possibly, right? I feel like, are you referring to the hair that they're talking about? A second person would explain how the girls were controlled and explain the original statements from DA. Who's DA? Well, we've covered so many cases where, we have a case where a young girl controlled her mother and her mother's boyfriend. He was young and in shape and very athletic. She ended up killing her mother, and all she had was a knife, and she was able to wound and immobilize the larger man simply with a knife. We also have the case of Thomas Jerome Bruce. He's a small man in stature, I think very similar to Richard Allen. He's about 5'6", more of a petite build. I don't know if I would say petite, but he's not a large individual. He was able to control 3 women and control them simply with a gun. So I think it really depends on the victim and what they choose, fight or flight. They currently can't identify or prove the second person's identity, so they are left out of the narrative so they don't confuse the jury. Well, they're not here to say Richard Allen physically forced them across the creek and assaulted them and then murdered him. Their whole goal is to prove that he's the bridge guy. And if he is the bridge guy, he's also guilty of murder. And if anybody else was involved, he'll be the one to explain that. Rainy days. Good to see you. TC, how are you? Good morning, Sleuth. Hoping people will get a bit of insight today. Anxiously awaiting the prosecutor's opening statement and praying for the families. Hoping all is well in your neck of the woods. Yes, everything is wonderful. Thank you so much. I hope everything's going well with you and yours. I appreciate that. Good to see you, Sensei. Hope everyone is fine and dandy today. Yeah, so far so good. And let's go hit him with the Sensei.
We do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak. Here, on the street, in competition.
Good to see you, Sensei. Silas, good to see you. Gambies, how are you? Hey, thank you. TC, lack of evidence of rape doesn't mean no SA, sexual assault. Imagine the vulnerability of the girls and the control BG had over them. This could easily happen with a gun, naked afraid, 40 caliber in your face. 100%. 100%. I mean, you can even replace Richard Allen with a small, petite woman holding a gun, and they're going to have the same amount of control. It's more psychological than anything, right? Thank you, TC. Patty, hello. Cindy, hello. Gail, how are you? Hiawatha, good to see you. Pitbull Mom, happy Wednesday. She Warrior. Hope you're having a great day at work. Always good to see you. Little one. Phil Bond. What's up? How you doing, Phil? Delulu. Hey, hey. Gambies, I'm a sexual assault nurse examiner, and I can tell you that a big percentage of cases don't have evidence. It's definitely a possibility in this case, too. That's interesting. I did not know that about you. Shane, always good to see you. Red Queen, hope you're having a good day. Christine. um, well, we are going members live later at about 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you guys are looking to vent or bring up any other cases or just talk about your day or anything really, for you members, you'll have that opportunity today. Nana Louise, good afternoon, Sleuth and crew. Hope all is well. Thank you for everything you do. Justice for Abby and Libby. Thank you for saying that. Little one, good to see you. Hey, thank you, TC. Yeah, and I couldn't do it without your guys' support. You know, you guys make it possible. Frank, good to see you. Miss Kitty 213. Hope you're having a good day. Scarlet Letter, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. True Crime Fangirl, good to see you. Timmy Mustang. Carrie, hello. Stop that right now. Good morning. Hey there's. What's going on? How you doing? All right, let's see who I missed. Linda. Yeah, and these creeps like to do a lot of things post-mortem too. Robin B, good to see you. Yeah, when it came to Thomas Jerome Bruce, he controlled 3 women and he brought them to a back of a room. He said, "This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my way with you, and you're going to do this." The first victim said, "Hell no, you're not." He didn't hesitate. He shot her right in the head without hesitation. The other 2 victims, they did exactly what he said, moving on, and it was a horrific crime, a horrific assault. We are talking about a real sick SOB. Thank you, haters. We got a scrub report, 102 in chat and only 26 likes. If you guys could hit the like button, go share this on Twitter, Facebook, your YouTube channel. Let's get some more folks in here. Bird Brain. Audra, good to see you. Grunge Truck. Did Richard Allen's wife divorce him? No, according to her statement, she's in it for the long haul. One of Frank Meister's sources, I believe that's where he got it, but Frank shared a list of witnesses, mostly just initials and things like that, but we'll take a look at that as well. But his daughter's on that list. So I'm sure she's going to be more of a character witness to say, hey, like, look, my dad never, assaulted me or did anything creepy. And the profile, my amateur profile, I didn't think that he did either. He may have thought about it, but I was getting more Israel Keys vibes from him, even though Israel Keys is a sadistic rapist. I don't think he ever hurt his own child. It's kind of like a case of duality. He's the evil, and he saw proof of God or proof that there was good in the world through his daughter. So we might be dealing with that if Richard Allen's the killer. They still got to prove that. Kitty Cat, good to see you. Mustang, what are you up to? Yeah, the man of many faces, right? This isn't about anybody but those two wonderful souls that lost their lives on February. I pray that their families and friends get justice. Yeah, but they got to make sure they get the right guy. So now it's about Abby and Libby and whether Richard Allen is a guilty man. And for me, it's all about the bullet. If they can prove that that was cycled through his gun, he's 100% had something to do with this crime. In my opinion. So there's been some things filed. There's been some responses. We have all of those documents. We're going to go over that. I have an experiment I want to do with you. Maybe we'll do that first. I just want to get caught up on all the pleasantries. Thank you, Nana. Yeah, don't be a scrub. We don't want no scrub. What's up, Kate? Shout out. Is that Canada? Shout out to Canada. Thought it was California for a minute. Boston, good to see you. There he is. Brad from Outside of the Grid. Another great podcast. Yeah, we did a live stream. We covered him a few times. Israel Keys. I think that was a members only live stream. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like some of these guys are just literally possessed by the devil or some kind of demonic force. Kind of reminds me of this.
It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop.
What's up, Lauren? TC Izzy Keys never had a specific demographic because he also serial killed for financial gain, mostly for financial gain, very few. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Richard Ramirez, even though he was more sexually motivated, but he really didn't have a preference. He just, if you looked weak and it was convenient, you were his target. Hather says justice for Abby and Libby. Thank you for that, Hathers. Sensei 46, scrub report improving, but we still need to do better. She's talking to you. Kitty says, Dr. John, Hidden True Crime last night said trigger could well be the daughter leaving. Libby looks like the daughter. And I said that from the beginning, remember? I said, if Richard Allen is the killer, he had a few what I like to call stressors. One thing I've noticed with a lot of these cases is they ask the killer once he's been identified and confessed officially. They ask him, well, why'd you do it, man? They always say, I don't know. They talk about having fantasies of murder and rape, but also they list off some stressors. Like, I've been really stressed, bankruptcy, divorce, things like that. Well, for Richard Allen, September of 2016, well, for one, his birthday is in September. September was also the month that his daughter told him that not only was she getting married, but that she's moving out of the house. She ended up getting married at the end of 2017. And then that very same month in September, his brother-in-law passes away. Complications from a motorcycle accident. Some of the details, I believe, of that motorcycle crash were that he had a passenger on the back seat and he provided his helmet, I think, to the young lady. So maybe he felt some animosity towards this person. But either way, he was going through a really bad time because not only that, but it had a domino effect from what I'm hearing from local sources that Kathy she took it really hard, you know. Sometimes when you take it hard, you might neglect your spouse or your family members. You might fall into a depression. You may even begin to self medicate. But if Richard Allen is the killer of 2 young girls, that means he's most likely a psychopath. And if he's a psychopath, he's not able to empathize with what she's going through. He's only able to see that it's affecting him. At least that's the way I see it from where I'm sitting. Any more abbreviations? Thank you, Miss Kitty. Love you too. Appreciate that. Thanks for spreading the positive vibes. Can't get too much of that ever. Hey, Kiwi. Susan Marie. Do you all hear he confessed to killing his family due to psychosis? Psychosis? So not just psychosis, but psychosis. A double dose. Yeah, that's why I don't put too much into the confessions. So he can be guilty and also be providing a false confession. Kate, how are you doing? Yep, shout out to Canada. Grunge Truck, I know the death penalty isn't used much in Indiana, but do you think Richard Allen could still get it? No. And only because most of the experts that I've talked to say that it would have already been discussed early on. And also the way that they're charging Richard Allen is it's not that they can prove that he's the killer, but that he's the bridge guy. And if he wouldn't have kidnapped the girls, they'd still be alive. And also when you have the death penalty on the table, it applies a whole lot of pressure to the jury, and it's going to give you an uphill battle for the prosecution. We may have all of those, Silas. We may have all of those, but if there's any new ones, if you guys can send them to me. Thank you for that, Audra. Says justice for Abby and Libby. Sam Cooley, hey. I think I did see that on a channel. Haven't been able to verify that, so we won't touch that today unless you guys can provide me with an article or a source of that. Grunge Truck, I was just watching Terminator 2 since it's free on YouTube. Oh, is it? I watched that movie in the theaters. Scottsdale, Arizona, they used to have these drive-in theaters where you put the metal box on your window. This was before you could tune in your radio. Welcome in, Susan. Augie, how you doing? Shadowbox. Hope you're having a great day. Shout out to the replay crew. I know a lot of you are really busy. And if it wasn't for all of your support, I would be busy doing something else as well. So you guys make this possible. I guess Skynet limited the number of T-1000s built because they were worried about it possibly taking over. Splitting things. He's malingering. Easy excuse. Makes me sick. Yep, feigning and malingering. We even have folks who eventually were convicted of murder, but due to insanity. And the judge even understood that during the trial process and while being held In prison, these suspects were malingering. They were trying to act crazy, but they didn't have to because they actually were. Doctors had already proven that they were 100% crazy during the time of the crime. So people are really strange. They can be guilty and still provide a false confession. It's the human element, the biggest variable, I think, in any of these investigations. Yeah, 100% Mustang. First, it starts with, I'm innocent. Then it starts with 25% involvement. And then it moves to 50% involvement or self defense. And then the more facts that are presented, then eventually they'll come out and say, but they never really tell the whole story. I mean, most of these killers are psychopaths and they love to be in control. They love to play cat and mouse. We want the information and they're the only ones that have it. So they like to dangle it out in front of us. Misunderstood. Welcome in. Yeah, Susan, I don't think he had any normal friends. Hiawatha says, Sleuth, the most sus thing about Alan, in my opinion, is how his brother-in-law's acts were hacked into after he died, and Kathy saying whoever did such disgusting things. Yeah, it could be. I was told that whoever hacked into the account was messaging women and girls. Question is, was that Richard Allen? I know, and I was told, it's hearsay, I was told by sources, of course, that knew Richard Allen, and actually I've had family members reach out to me. And what I was told is that when Johnny Boy passed away due to complications of the motorcycle, he was the caretaker of Kathy Allen's mother. He lived with her and he helped care for her. I don't know how bad or how sick she was or what that situation was. But I was told by somebody who helped take care of her that Kathy and Richard, they did not step in completely. They were part of a group of family members who helped together. But it is true that Richard Allen did spend time in Peru at that home. Which is not far from the bridge that they searched under during the Wabash River search, by the way. So if he's helping to take care of the mother and staying at the mother's home, that's also the former residence of Johnny Boy, right? The Facebook that was hacked. So does that mean that he now has access to this Facebook? Maybe it wasn't hacked. He's using a laptop, iPad, old cell phone that's laying around. Because I know when most people pass away, you have to get their orders and their affairs in order. And you're trying to figure out what to do with all their belongings. They got clothing, they got furniture, they got computers, electronics. They have vehicles. What are you going to do with all of this? Are you going to donate it? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to keep some of it? But either way, that puts Richard Allen in a position where he can access those devices. Not to mention his daughter leaving the home. Is he now able to access Facebook through her account and stalk Abby and Libby? Just makes you wonder. Yeah, maybe. I thought they updated the charge to murder. Well, it was always murder, but it was a little bit confusing. But really, it's kidnapping that resulted in murder, which is still murder in Indiana and in most states. Aether Sleuth, how much of those confessions do you think could be part of an act? Well, some of them could be part of an act. Some of them could be actually under psychosis. Some could be malingering, after talking with his attorneys, like, hey, this is, they don't need to coach him on how to malinger. They just need to tell him the consequences of his actions, and he can make that decision on his own, right? Like, if I don't malinger, there's going to be prudence to these confessions. They're going to be able to, they're going to use them against me. So at one point, he could have been extremely weak and said, hey, I'm ready to confess. I want to get the truth out. And then he tells real confessions. Then his wife says, no, no, I don't want to hear this. Don't confess. We can fight this. Then he's like, oh shit, I just made things harder on myself. So now I will begin malingering, like, oh, look, I'm wiping shit all over me. I'm obviously crazy. I'm incompetent. The confession, and that's why I made these confessions. But also, he spent a long amount of time in solitary confinement, which, in my opinion, is inhumane for anybody. you know, but you have people fighting for Richard Allen and him being locked in solitary confinement, but they're not fighting for anybody else, right? Nobody else matters, but because of their interest in the Delphi case, now him being in solitary confinement, it's a big issue. But for me, it's a big issue for everybody. I've changed my position. I feel like as a civilized society, we shouldn't lower ourselves to the level of these monsters. So a lot of nuance on that, Hathers. Also heard was DV, but wasn't charged. DV, what's that? I do like the Terminator movie right now and again. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's kind of like a recipe, Shane. He's going through all of these stressors, might be self medicating, dealing with some kind of mental health episode, maybe even under the influence. He's trying to get away from people, goes to his favorite place, the Delphi Monon High Bridge Trail. Maybe even enjoyed going across the bridge and being alone under the bridge on the south side, because there's those trails down underneath there. You can kind of hide. Maybe that was where he went, to do drugs. Well, lo and behold, there's all these people. There's, where did all these kids come from? Why are all these children here? Like, I came here to be alone. Like, who the hell are you? I ran into these three girls. That pissed me off. Now I get to the bridge. There's this woman, like, what the hell? Now there's these two girls. So he begins watching the girls, and then boom, he's triggered by Libby for whatever reason. Maybe they even said something to him, and he made that decision. Hey, misunderstood. Did you get a chance to look into the email? Yes, I did. I thought I responded to it. Looks like he has charges of murder and felony murder against both girls. Yep. Welcome in, Shelley. They do. The one on the top middle right, they look hazel. Bottom left corner, they look green. Top left middle, they look almost brown. So I think the color shirt that you're wearing, the lighting, the backdrop, I think it all plays a part. Yeah, people are strange. People are strange when they are strangers. Melody. Kate B, how you doing? Good to see you. Melody, I think he realized they had his confession to his wife recorded. then he purposely wanted to make himself look crazy, or look, he was lying by continually confessing to details he knew weren't true. Exactly. And if Richard Allen is the killer, we're dealing with a proactive person, and that fits with his profile. Kind of like him committing the murders and then calling into the tip line, right? Because what they do with these disorganized killers, what they do is they obsess in their mind. They're going over everything. Okay, what did I do? What mistakes did I make? Um, what countermeasures can I take? And a lot of times, disorganized killers will return to the crime scene and try to look for evidence that they may have left. Or so for him to come forward, it sounds like in his mind he was thinking, okay, those three girls, they saw me. What if they recognize me? They're going to tell police that they saw a man at this time. What about the lady at the bridge? She also saw me. So he's going to obsess about that. And he's going to start to think, well, they're going to come looking for me. If they come looking for me, then they're going to look at me as a suspect. But if I tell them, hey, look, I was there, and maybe he was even watching the news with his family and they were all like, hey, weren't you there? He has to come forward at that point, because if he doesn't, they're going to come to him. That's going to give him the look of a guilty man. Might even be enough for a search warrant. Not that they really had anything new for this search warrant. So, but we're going to learn a lot more about that lost tip narrative and what's really going on. I think during the trial, maybe even during the opening statements. Hey, Augie. Well, obviously more than one is involved. Even if Richard Allen is involved, true justice won't come until all involved are convicted. Proof against Richard Allen keeps getting weaker and weaker as trial approaches. Well, the thing is, you can't get over emotional. And I think Richard Allen could have very well done this alone. Like, we don't know about the hair. A lot of people hear, oh my God, they have hair. And it's not Richard Allen. So they're like, I was wrong. But, we're going to do a little experiment on that right now. And I'm going to need your help with it. Good to see you, Saska. Hey, V. Marie, addendum to the decorum order. Are they letting 12 press passes now? I'm not sure, but I feel like don't be surprised if they let cameras in that courtroom. Don't be shocked. Christine. Yeah, they tore this one down too. I used to love going to the drive-in movie. Because we can kind of, if the movie was boring or whatever, my family members kind of run around, creating chaos, hanging out with other kids and stuff. Back when you could, you know what I mean? You can't really do that anymore. TC, if they don't find some connection, nexus, or the Dropbox, how did they arrest so many with some sort of connection? What you know versus what you can prove once again. Yeah, and Doug Carter did say, that there was dozens of investigations and arrests that stemmed from Anthony Shots, but that doesn't necessarily connect it to the Delphi murders. But maybe it does. Orders issued, third party allowed. Which third party, Frank? Can you send that to me? Will you send it to my email? Which third party? Growing Crazy. Good morning, Sleuth, Mods, and Justice for Abby and Libby. Thank you, Growing. Welcome in. Maybe I can pull it up here. Let's see what's going on. I'll pull up Indiana, my case. But if you have the document, Frank, send it over. I'm not sure exactly. If I had to guess, I would say Indiana. But I know he grew up in Mexico, Indiana. He lived in Greenwood for a little while. And he did do a lot of traveling for work. Okay, so today's the 16th. Let's see what we got here. Order issued. Okay, we already have that. We'll look at that. The court has received a request for recording of court proceedings by news media from Erica Facey with Wish TV and denied. Okay, looks like the most recent order here. Pursuant to the court's inherent authority to manage the courtroom to ensure a fair trial and to ensure access to the public and the media, the court issues an addendum to the decorum order dated September 30th as follows. The public and the media are reminded that no food or beverages will be permitted in the Carroll Circuit courtroom. The public and the media are reminded that no electronic devices of any kind are permitted in the Carroll County Courthouse during the pendency of trial. Press passes to the trial will be distributed at 3 p.m. on October 17th. The 12 press passes will be provided to representatives of the Delphi Trial Media Coalition as organized by Cindy Hebert, WTHR, on behalf of news media as defined in Indiana Code 34-46-4-1. Press who meets the 34-46-4-1 definition is invited to contact Ms. Hebert by email to join their coalition to be part of the news pool. Disputes among media are previously addressed by the courts. Yeah, I don't see anything here about third party. That's what Frank's saying. And he might already have the documents before it's even on the docket. What's up, Squeaky Will? Yeah, that could be. Very interested to hear what he said to his wife. Like to hear those confessions. And the confession he made to Dr. Walla, who is pro-defense and looked at Richard Allen like he was a prisoner of some concentration camp. Yep. Proactive, right, Squeaky? Good to see you, Rain Dancer, Misty Free Spirit. Thank you, Mustang. Badass, good to see you. Yeah, to me, that's inhumane. Oh, what's up, Jason? Heard they found hair in one of the girls' hands and it does not belong to Richard Allen. Thoughts? Yeah, we're going to get into a little experiment right now. So I'm going to zip through these comments just to kind of catch anybody that I missed. If I miss your comment, feel free to add it in there again. None of your business. New people saw him and realized that he lives in town and works in the public. He could have been very paranoid. Oh, they recognize me. I have to come forward. Because this crime looks extremely disorganized. Scarlet Letter. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. She's allowing the August 1st stuff in. Yeah, well, anything's allowed outside of the jury, especially if you're trying to make create a nexus or like an objection. Like whenever you object to something, the judge will look at it and it'll be kept away from the jury. Yeah, squeaky wheel. Yeah, and they should. I mean, it's evidence, especially evidence that's part of that's been presented in the courtroom. I think that it should be allowed. So very strategic by the defense team, and Nick is definitely going to have his hands full. What's up, Boston? Annette Milner, what's up? Annette says, yeah, I don't think Bridge Guy knew he was being recorded because he would have done something with the phone and not left it. Yep, I agree. I agree with that. And I think they found it in a shoe. So when he told them to undress, she must have hid the phone in her shoe. Try to hide it, maybe. Yeah, badass. I mean, I understand these guys need to be kept away, and a lot of people think that they should be, tortured and, chop off their hands. But I think from a civilized society, we're better than that. We have them off the street, we have them in prison. And if they need to be put to death, do it in some kind of humane way. I mean, there's people that go through brain surgery and they don't feel a thing. What's up, Andy Kane? I appreciate that. Thanks for participating. It's always good to see you in the chat. V Marie. Yeah, you got to kind of show some self control. So I had to learn that. Annette says, what do you think about Nick wanting the sketches to not be permissible? So that's going to be a huge part of today's stream. I have a whole lot of content gathered as far as what hearsay is, like sketches versus the lineup. Why is the lineup not hearsay, and why is sketches hearsay? But the truth is, this is just something that happens in most cases. They don't allow sketches. It's part of the investigative process. It's not part of the trial process. So even though the news and everybody, we're ignorant to, at least I am, when it comes to, trials and the process and all of that. But one thing I did know is that they don't ever use, it's very rare that they use sketches, and it's under very specific circumstances. So typically, they don't allow sketches. So this isn't anything special for the Delphi case. This isn't any kind of strategy from the prosecutor or the defense. This is normal stuff, you know. There's maybe been, one or two cases that it's actually been allowed since like 1980 something. So just keep that in mind. Sketches aren't usually allowed in trials. Only under very specific circumstances. And we're going to look at some examples too. Baldwin said the hair in her hand didn't belong to Richard Allen, but in typical Baldwin style, he didn't say who it belonged to. Could have been Abby's or Libby's as well. I doubt it was Abby's and Libby's, but remember, she also had her own hoodie in her hand, right? She had her hands covered with the hoodie. So that's what this experiment is going to be all about. And we're going to jump into that now. We're pretty much caught up. So let me pull up this. Actually, this is a few photographs. Let me share my screen with you. Okay. So I'm going to need your help on this from all of you. Let me remove this comment. Okay. So what I did is I pulled 4 hoodies. There were 2 laying in my office right here on a chair and then on a little end table that I have by the window. Okay. Now I flip them inside out. One, you can see it's in my closet. This is like clothes hanging in my closet right here. In the background, that's my closet door. So I want you to go in your closet or go to a hoodie, whether you've just washed it or not. Look at 3 or 4 of them and flip them inside out or flip the sleeve inside out. I want you guys to know 3 out of 4 had hair that did not belong to me right at the end of the sleeve. So I want you guys, if you could, help me out. And if you want to, you can take a picture and send it to sleuthintuition@gmail.com. We'll put them on the screen. I mean, I was shocked. The first 3 that I checked had hair right at the end of the arm, the bottom of the sleeve. It's not my hair. It's most likely my wife's hair. She's a redhead. This one was really long. You can't really tell, but this was a longer hair. So if you're clutching, right? So this is inside out. I flipped the sleeves inside out. So if I'm clutching the end of my sleeve, guess what else I'm clutching? I'm clutching these hairs. So just to prove that I didn't plant these hairs here, I want you guys to go and do this experiment on your own. So for all these folks who are trying to push this narrative like, oh my God, they found a hair. Remember, Abby was wearing Libby's hoodie. And Libby lived with a lot of people. She had a lot of friends. She had aunts and uncles, and, she seemed like the kind of person like I was when I was young. My friends would wear my clothes, I would wear their clothes. It really wasn't a big deal. But I mean, I was really shocked that the second I turned these inside out, and all of these hairs are right at the bottom near the bottom of the sleeve. Look at all the fibers, cat hair. We have a lot of animals. We have cats and dogs. So you can see the cat and dog hair kind of surrounding it. And this hair was really long. You can kind of see it kind of spirals and even wraps around this side. So if you found me deceased clutching the bottom of my hoodie, guess what else I'm clutching in my hand? I'm clutching these hair. And notice it's a single hair. If you were clutching an attacker's hair, it would be multiple hair. Let's say you ripped somebody's hair out and you were trying to hold it like, okay, I got evidence. So no matter what happens to me, I'm going to hold it in my hand. You're not going to have a single hair. But the single hair theory is more of a random. It seems more random to me. And here's evidence of that. This is 3 out of 4. The 4th one that I opened only had like a few cat hairs and a few unknown fibers. I couldn't tell what they were. But this was actual hair, and this hair doesn't belong to me. So I want you guys to go grab the nearest hoodie, go to your closet, and just flip the sleeve inside out or flip the hoodie inside out and let me know if you found hair at the end near the sleeve. Because if you're clutching these sleeves, guess what else I would be clutching? It would be a hair, a single hair. Now, if you're fighting somebody and you pull hair out of their head and you're clutching it, I believe you would have more than one. Hey, thank you, Sensei. Thanks for all your hard work, Sleuth. I appreciate your effort, hard work, and dedication. You are a credit to the true crime. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So we have one red hair, not very long. This one you can't really tell, but it's really long. It kind of curls right here and even wraps around the side of my Sleuth Crew hoodie. But notice where it's at. Right at the bottom. Same with this one. The bottom is right here. Amagi says, most likely the hair would come from a friend or a family member. Be easy to test dyed red hair, family and friends against it. I agree. But it could even just be something really random. You know what I mean? Especially, it was a Delphi swim team hoodie. You know, being in the locker room with your whole team, you know, it could belong to anybody. The fact that it's a single hair, I mean, what is Abby going to pluck one hair and think to herself, I need to hold on to this one single hair? You know, it's evidence. That's just ridiculous. They were at a couple sleepovers, Scarlett. Sleepover the night before. Did she have that hoodie there? Could have. Yep. Conceptualize. I learned something off you, Scarlett, on a daily basis. KMM. We shed on an average of 100 strands of hair per day. It could be a transfer. Yeah. And it's not like and we don't know, did she have it in her hand in between her fingers or what? All we know is that she was clutching one strand of hair that didn't belong to Richard Allen. Well, if you found me clutching the end of my hoodie, technically you could say I was clutching a hair as well, right? Because this would be in my hand. Bird Brain says, honestly, I don't think the hair has much to do with who committed the murders. Exactly. So it's misleading. And a lot of people, they're basing their decision off of that. So that's why I want you guys to do this experiment on your own. Yep, that's right, kitty cat. Yeah, fleece really does. This one's not fleece. This is the inside right here. This is one of those multi-layered zip-up hoodies. I don't know, Scarlett. I was expecting the defense and prosecution to have a lot of information, some surprise that will be surprises to the public. And I think we're going to see more during the opening statement, especially from the prosecution. These are all my hoodies. And my wife doesn't wear my hoodies. She steals my other jackets, my flannels. But all I know is if for whatever reason I was clutching the end of my hoodie, this hair would technically be in my clutches. None of your business says, I just looked at my hoodie and saw like 10 German Shepherd hairs. If my daughter was still little, there would have been her hairs too. Nakia Schultz, welcome in. Yeah, Miss Mala. Yeah, it's awful what they put Kelsey through. I'm disgusted by those people. Jay, no. Also, if it was a family member of the victim, the prosecution would have shouted that from the rooftops. The fact they haven't is interesting. Yeah. So I think a single hair, I think it's a nothing burger. If it was the suspect's hair and it was clutched in somebody's hand, it's because they were, through a struggle They would have had multiple hair. But the fact that if you flip your hoodie inside out and you find the single strand of hair, and remember, this is right here at the bottom. I didn't even really look anywhere else. I just looked at the bottom of the sleeve. Hather said cat and dog hair on mine, but not very many. Keep thinking about being a connection in the KK stuff. Those men must have been a lot of money moving around. So I don't know. I just keep pondering the connection. Well, the thing is, for these sick pedophiles, CSAM is a form of currency. What we've learned from Keegan Klein, there was a lot of exchanging. Show me what you have and I'll show you what I have. So it's like they go stalking and they do their predatorial behavior, and then they meet together and they come together and exchange what they've collected. Hey GP, good to see. Hiawatha strands of hair were clutched in Abby's hand. Plural. Strands of hair. And where are you quoting that from? Because the quote I have was a strand of hair. Right, Hiawatha. Scalp them. Yeah, so the point is, I received multiple comments from members, like Kitty Wombalista. Can't remember who the other one was. It was a new name. But thank you guys for bringing that to my attention. I have not seen the crime scene photos. And I know that some people have done renditions or their own versions of the crime scene. I don't even pay attention to those. But I am being told that she was clutching she had her sleeves pulled over her hands and clutching the ends of her hoodie sleeves. So how is she clutching hair and her hoodie at the same time? Nixon says the hair will be either a nothing burger or it'll be animal hair, in my opinion. Well, by the way, welcome in, H. Nixon. But by the way they're presenting it, I'm pretty sure it's human hair. But it could belong to anybody. Yep, and I'm being patient for his response. But I know you guys want to talk about it, so I'm doing my best to explain it and to provide it in its full context. Hiawatha. Silas says, Hiawatha, I heard it, a single strand. I guess it depends on whose notes we listen to. Annette. She's like, that's itchy. Yeah, maybe Shelley. But it could have lasting effects on a jury, right? You give your little mini statement and you know that the prosecution isn't going to give their statement until Friday. So that information is going to stick. It's going to be implanted in their brains. So pretty good move strategically. And it seems to be their style, right? To mislead. And we learned a lot about how their style of misleading through the Franks memo. And thank goodness we did our own investigation. We were able to talk with people like Patrick Westfall and, prove a lot of this information was just, it was beyond an embellishment. In most cases, it was a flat out lie. So their strategy is definitely based and administered through misleading. For sure. I bet, badass. Thank you, Growing. Says prayers for the families of Abby and Libby. The hair is only significant if it belongs to an unidentified male subject. Well, who's to say Richard Allen's accomplice was not a young female? If he had an accomplice. And if it was Richard Allen. I really wish Goal would allow cameras just for the opening statements. Would love to be able to hear those live. Yeah, you might be able to. Picked up hair from the bench, or perhaps when they put the hoodie back on Abby. Yeah, and that's the point of this. I mean, this is not my hair. My wife does not wear these hoodies. But yet, there's a hair that does not belong to me inside my hoodie. So let's say, for whatever reason, I give my hoodie to Goodwill or I lose it on the streets. The homeless man is wearing my hoodie, commits a crime. They find his hoodie at the crime scene. They find this hair. Does that mean that my wife committed the robbery or the attempted murder? No. Yeah, a lot of people are badass. They always have been. They lack any imagination. Everything that's part of their investigation is everything that's on the surface. They're lacking. True Crime Housewife, hello. One YouTuber said that an expense report for $20-something thousand. Yeah, that's been put out to the public for genealogy. So if they can't find a match to this, it just, to me, that sounds like, and then early on, we heard Kim Riley say that, yeah, we have DNA, but it's like this person has never committed a crime before. First thing that popped in my mind was because it's a young person. The evidence that they have belongs to a young person. And when they didn't bring it up in regards to Richard Allen and his interrogation, I knew right then that they didn't have any DNA from Richard Allen. Does that make him innocent? Hell no. The dude spent an hour and 35 minutes, and that's not including the kidnapping and the amount of time from when he left the crime scene and was spotted on 300, muddy and bloody. So what is he doing for an hour and 30 minutes? In my opinion, he's cleaning. Delulu says the prosecution hasn't leaked anything, so I'm not surprised they haven't commented on the hair. Only the defense has been leaking. Yep, exactly. So you have people that are leaning towards Richard Allen being innocent and then criticizing people who think he may be guilty, but yet they haven't even heard the prosecution's case at all. So who's the hypocrite? Hey, Mark Collins, buongiorno. Renee Sleuth, how come chat has been going blurry the last couple times I watch? Anyone else? It's probably just on your end. I've heard that happening, but I've never seen it myself. Zero shedding, huh? Lucky you. Boston Sleuth, but if he was in psychosis, he shouldn't know what he even they're around the, excuse me. No, not necessarily. You know, you're like you lose your grip on reality, but you still have factual information. You kind of, it's all bleeding together. You know, a lot of folks who go missing, they're suffering from psychosis. They're hearing audible voices. You know, there's voices in their head telling them to hurt themselves, hurt others, and their family members are trying to help them, and they don't realize that they're making it worse, because it's like a total violation of your privacy. It's almost like somebody has entered into your brain. They can see all your inner thoughts. You're no longer in your mind. You're no longer alone. You have somebody that snuck into your mind and is kind of torturing you, really. So the reason a lot of these folks who are suffering from psychosis run away is because they just want freedom. And the more people that try to help them, the worse they feel. You know, nobody can really understand what they're going through. So they tell them, oh, you need counseling, you need to see a therapist, we need to get you to a doctor, you need to get on medication, you need to do this, do that. Okay, well, what about right now? There's a person in my brain telling me that I need to kill you. What do I do about that? I agree with you, Kiwi. But remember, Gold did allow cameras in. And the moment that she did, here, let's watch that. The moment that she allowed cameras, this is what we got.
We've had an unexpected turn of events, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier this afternoon, the defense attorneys have withdrawn their representation of Mr. Allen. Mr. Baldwin made an oral motion to withdraw. I granted that oral motion to withdraw, and Mr. Rosie will be submitting a written motion to withdraw, I'm assuming within the next couple of days. They have confirmed with the court that Mr. Allen's financial situation remains static, meaning he is continuing to be entitled to appointed counsel. I will reach out to public defenders to make that appointment. As Mr. Allen is now without counsel, I've ordered him transported back to the Department of Correction. Mr. McClellan, I know that we have already scheduled a hearing in the Carroll Circuit Court October 31st at 9 a.m. I'd like to maintain that hearing if we can, please. Yes, Your Honor. I think at that point we can have counsel appointed. I'd like to set a new trial date, obviously. I don't believe counsel will be prepared within the next couple of months to try a case of this magnitude in January. So we'll set dates for the trial.
Hey,
I
Queen.
think we need to set a date as well for the suppression hearing that was filed now by former counsel. I have asked the attorneys to provide all of the discovery previously provided back to the state of Indiana. I know I entered a protective order on the discovery, and honestly, I don't.
So, yeah. So she fought. She's been an advocate for cameras in the courtroom in Indiana. And she got it approved for the Delphi case. And this is what she gets for her efforts. A lot of nonsense. Okay, let's see if anybody sent me any emails here. Okay. Oh, looks like we have something here. Okay, first sweater was in the closet and clean. Second sweater is the one I was currently wearing. Third sweater is the one I wear occasionally. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, that looks like animal hair to me. All right, if you guys are doing this experiment, feel free to send me your photographs. Let's take a look here. But notice it's at the end of the sleeve. So you would literally be clutching this. And this looks like an animal hair. But I could be wrong. Or it could be a blonde hair. Looks like it could. Yeah, that could be blonde hair. Somewhat curly. Not quite sure about that one. Looks like some animal hair. And that looks like an actual human hair right there. This one too. Oh yeah, it is, because look, this is all one strand. So there you guys go. So on average, you're going to have a piece of hair at the end of your hoodie or fleece or whatever it is. Now, if you let your friend borrow this, or you give it to Goodwill, or you sell it at a yard sale or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's evidence of any type of a crime or that you took part in a crime. There you go. Thank you for sending that. Now, if you're clutching the end of that sleeve, and remember, that's the information we're being provided. I've had multiple people tell me that. They say they've seen the crime scene photos. She's 100% has her sleeves pulled over her hands and is clutching the hoodie. So you could get away with saying, yeah, she's clutching a single strand of hair or even strands of hair. But really, she's clutching the hoodie. Know what I mean? Good to see you, Mark. Nothing Burger, maybe designed to trick Nick to react, an open door to third party being allowed in. Well, Nick wants a third party. He just wants the right third party. And he might even be using the hair as evidence for his case. Remember, the defense was, and throughout the Frank's memo, you had one half that was about Odinism, and the other half was about how poor little Richard, the garden gnome, is incapable of committing this murder alone. Okay, well, if you're trying to use this piece of hair as evidence that somebody else could have committed the crime, well, there you go. You said he couldn't do it alone. Well, there's his accomplice. But honestly, I do believe that it will turn out to be, and we got to be patient and wait for the rebuttal. Because if you guys have been keeping up with the reporting that I've been doing, we've broken down the Frank's memo through our own investigation and found that everything that we could physically touch, anything tangible that we've got our hands on, was proven to be false. And the way that it was described in the Frank's memo was not only an embellishment, but it was just a bold-faced lie. Okay, let me see what else I have for you guys. So it looks like the jury is completed. 11 women, 6 men, 17 in all. 12 regular jurors. Others are alternates to be sworn in on Thursday. I pulled that from @NewsyBarbara. It's Barbara McDonald. This was shared with me by Frank Meister in the members only Discord. This is the list of witnesses from, I believe, one of Frank's sources. So thank you for sharing this. And I'll share this with you guys now. So it looks like on the left we have prosecution witnesses, and on the right we have the defense. Mostly initials. But one thing that stood out to me for the defense was Richard Allen's daughter, Brittany Z. She's most likely going to be called in as a character witness. You know, most people assume that, hey, if Richard Allen's going to go around killing 2 young children in Delphi, that he's going to have a history of hurting his own daughter. But that's why we brought up Israel Keys and certain people like that. Gary Ridgway, he never hurt his own children. Ted Bundy, I believe he did have an incident where he was laying naked with his stepdaughter. But according to her, that was it. She did think that was very strange. But as far as molestation and things like that, she claims that never happened. But I believe that's why they're going to call his daughter, Brittany Z. But I'll go down the list here, starting with the prosecution: BP, KG, DG. I don't know, is that Becky Patty, Kelsey German, Derek German, Abby Williams? Then you have SM, SH, PB. That might be Pat Brown. He's the one that discovered the bodies. Some of these are incomplete, because I believe they were just kind of reading off the list, and folks that were actually in the courtroom were doing their best. So shout out to whoever took these notes. If you guys want to provide that information, I can give them a shout out. Otherwise, anonymously, great job. You have JP, question mark, partial, BB, RV. These look like the actual witnesses. RV, BW, that could be Bree. BB, DP, that could be Daniel Pearson. Partial, JJ, SC, KP, NR, R, Cecil, KS, DD, TL, MC, DV, JH, MO. Partial, PC. I'm not sure what that is. Can you guys read that? Somebody type that in the chat. And remember, I'm so far behind on the chat, you guys have to kind of put it in context for me. So say witness list. This is the spelling. Give me a little bit of information so I know what the hell you're talking about. MC, NM, BF, BS. For the defense, TL, AL, JH, BH, DC, DV, GE, BB, KM, TC, DD, JP. And a lot of these are going to be the same. RP, BW, SM, NR, partial, BB, SC, Josh Robinson, AH, Taylor H. There's B. Wilbur. I think that's Bree. Keegan, Tony Klein, MP, BP, Polly Westcott, MWMH, Max B, KA, RD Jr., JHLP, MADG, Chadwell. Looks like CG, AC, SB, GF, partial, S. Eldridge, Cicero, JJ, MR, RS, partial, BI, TW, L. Spiegel, J. Moore. There's Brittany Z. I believe that's Richard Allen's daughter, RS, BW, LH, SA, and SD. So if you guys want to take a screenshot of that, I can even do it like this. You want to do like half page and then paste it to the other half. And that was provided by Frank Meister. Shout out to Frank Meister. Good old Barb M reporting multiple strands. Yeah, maybe it is multiple strands. I don't think that changes anything. CJK, hello. Yeah, there's probably all kinds of DNA, honestly, Queen. Maybe they've identified that. I think that's just to help the jury kind of make a decision. Like you had some jurors that said, after hearing these many statements, I'm already biased, or I came in here with a bias, and nothing's going to change my mind. So I think it just helps them decide whether or not they will be a good juror. After what I've told you here, are you going to be able to be non-partial? Shane says a clump of hair in comparison to a single strand is everything. I agree. Even if it's like multiple strands. And that's why we were doing this experiment, because in some cases there are multiple strands, even right on the end of your sleeve. So if you're clutching the sleeve and the hair, I mean, are you really clutching a hair, or are you clutching a sleeve that happens to have hair attached to it? Okay. So what else do I have for you guys here? We had the motion to compel. So this was presented here. It says court orders defendants pleading verified motion for certificate of appearance regarding out-of-state witness. They were talking about Dr. Monica Walla, and the accompanying order to be made a confidential pleading. So the defense put her home address in there. I don't know if they did that on purpose. I don't know if it was malicious. But even we knew, we did it live. Even I knew better than to show you her address. You guys remember? I blocked it out. So I thought that was extremely inappropriate, and not sure if that was done by mistake. But this was the original verified motion for certificate of appearance regarding out-of-state witness. So one of the newest documents is just saying, hey, you guys need to not do that. And then also you had a motion to compel. This one was released October the 11th. It says the court, having had defendant's motion to compel deponents to answer certified questions. They talk about that it was filed on September 23rd. I think I have that document. I don't know if this one is September 23rd. This one was September 27th. So I'm not quite sure if this is the one they're referring to, but it looks like it. Now comes the state of Indiana. But they're saying the reasons that they're going to deny it is because of what's listed here. And it's because it's work product. So Judge Gull agreed, like, hey, these were our witnesses. We're not going to use them. Everything that was discussed will not be used in court. This is our work product. Therefore, we don't have to provide it to you. And Judge Gull agreed. Okay, let's look a little bit at what I found about sketches being allowed in the courtroom. This is from encyclopedia.com. CJK. You missed a lot. So let me know what you think in the comments. That goes for the rest of you replay crew. Lady Monet says, Profiling Evil had a good video about the possible sources of hair. Also explain how both sides present evidence. Could be inconclusive result on the hair, but I'm waiting to see what comes out in court. Kathy had dyed red hair prior to his arrest. The hair is a distraction, in my opinion. They didn't say it excluded Richard Allen either. Kinda. They kind of alluded to that. But it's just funny to see all these people who believe 100%. I don't think you should assume that Richard Allen is 100% guilty, and I don't think you should assume he's 100% innocent. But that's just, where I stand. I believe that if they can prove that his bullet was cycled through that gun, yeah, definitely he's guilty of being involved in the crime. And I think that will prove that he is the bridge guy. But they haven't done that yet. I haven't seen the information, and that's just my opinion. For whatever it's worth. Shane says hundreds of hairs. Question is it yours? Rain Dancer, who is they? See, and this is what I mean about putting comments in context. You got to give me a little information before that because I'm so behind. I'm not going to even get to your comment for like 6, 7, maybe 10 minutes. I had a feather in my pocket once. I have no clue how it got there. Yeah, were you going around killing birds? Are you a bird hunter? Well, now you're a suspect. They were outside. Transference, in my opinion. CJK has Sleuth talked about the channel, talking about the jury, giving descriptions. What do you mean, CJ? And if you guys want to shoot me an email about anything you want me to cover or you think is has anything to do with today's discussion, shoot me an email, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. If I think it's relevant, we'll take a look. The defense is arguing some other man yet to be identified killed them. The hair only helps them if it's some other guy's hair, in my opinion. I don't know. I think to assume that the person who helped him kill is a man, I think that would be irresponsible too. For all we know, he's helping another young lady. We don't know. And the prosecution isn't trying to prove any of that. They're just trying to prove like, hey, Richard Allen is the bridge guy. The bridge guy is the one that we have on video kidnapping the girls, taking them down the hill, and ultimately to where their bodies were found. If he would not have done that, these girls would be alive. So whether he took them down the hill, brought them to a secondary to the arms of another killer, they're not even trying to talk about any of that. They're just trying to say, hey, if we're here to prove that he's the bridge guy. And if anybody else was involved, it will be the bridge guy that will tell you. Because he's definitely involved in the murder. So I think that's extremely strategic and dangerous for Richard Allen. Because they don't need to prove any of that. They don't need to talk about whose hair is in the hands, what was going on, why the bodies are positioned in the way they are. They're just there to prove that Richard Allen kidnapped the girls and that led to their murder. So if you want some answers, ask this kidnapper. Okay, let's read this here. Using sketches in court. In 1981, Jerry Miller was sent to prison for committing rape in a parking garage in Chicago, Illinois. He spent 25 years behind bars for a crime he did not commit. Miller was freed from prison in 2007 when DNA evidence finally proved he was not the rapist. Miller's conviction had centered on a composite sketch and the memories of two different witnesses who pointed their fingers at Miller. Sadly, he is not alone in having been both mistakenly accused and convicted. Other wrongly accused people have spent time in jail simply because someone said they looked like the person who committed a crime. Mistaken eyewitness identification is a major problem, says attorney Lisa Steele, a member of the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. 85% of convictions overturned by DNA evidence have involved a mistaken eyewitness. Some composite sketches are so accurate and look so much like the defendant, it seems the entire case could be made on the strength of the composite alone. The New York Court of Appeal says this might be the entire problem. If police all along were searching for someone who looked like the composite sketch instead of somebody who actually committed a crime, one thing is certain. If the sketch is right, it will resemble the person accused. If the sketch is wrong, it will resemble the person accused. Indeed, the accused, innocent or guilty, is supposed to look like the sketch. This is not to say that forensic artists, even in cases that end in sending the wrong person to prison, have done anything wrong. They are merely putting down on paper what a witness claims to remember about the way the offender looked. In many ways, it is no different than a police officer taking a witness's statement about what happened during a crime. And courts do not allow witness statements to be used as evidence unless the witness themselves takes the stand. Otherwise, it's hearsay. Because forensic artists do not actually observe the crime or the criminal, some courts consider sketches to be hearsay. So, what makes evidence admissible? Admissible evidence is evidence that juries are allowed to see during a trial. Inadmissible evidence is evidence that is not allowed to be presented in the courtroom. Evidence may be determined to be inadmissible by a judge for the following reasons. Number one, it is unreliable. It does not come from a recognized expert in his or her field. Number two, it is hearsay. It comes from a secondhand witness, somebody who does not have personal knowledge of the evidence, but who just heard about it from someone else. Number three, it would upset the jury too much. Graphic photographs of murder scenes and victims are often inadmissible. Number four, it was gathered using illegal methods. When composite sketches are not allowed in a courtroom, it is usually because they are considered hearsay. The person drawing the sketch did not actually see the suspect or witness the crime. So let's compare that to a lineup. Okay, a lineup and show-up identifications are admissible as non-hearsay statements under Rule 801 of the Federal Rules of Evidence as long as the identifying witness testifies at trial. The evidence of a trial witness prior identification may be presented by a third party who was present at the identifications. So if you have a lineup and the witness points at, a certain individual, now all they need is the witness that was there to say, yes, this witness pointed at this guy, circled his picture, and signed it, which is different than a sketch, right? That's why Doug Carter always says a sketch is not a photograph. That's what he's talking about. So it's just an investigative tool, and it's typically not allowed in court. So I was going to spend more time on that, but I think you guys can grasp that, right? Just because a lot of people think, oh my God, he doesn't want the sketches in because they don't look like him. Well, I'm pretty sure the defense would have said the same thing if the prosecution wanted the sketches in, right? We want the sketches in. The defense is going to say, no, it's hearsay. So it doesn't really matter what the defense or the prosecution wants, because most likely Judge Gall wouldn't allow sketches in, nor would any other judge, unless the person, under certain circumstances will they allow that. And I think it would definitely have to involve them IDing Richard Allen from the sketch. Like if somebody tipped in Richard Allen and said, hey, he looks like the sketch. And then they went to Richard Allen and said, do you own a 40 caliber? And they're like, yes, I do. And then they searched his home and then found that the bullet matches. Then I believe in those very specific, and I still could be wrong, but in one of the examples I read, that's how they explained it. So if it's used to find the suspect that led to actual evidence that isn't hearsay, then it would have to be presented in court. Okay, so we'll go ahead and catch up on the chat, and then we'll bounce on out of here. So if you guys have anything to add, or if there's any comments that I missed, feel free to put them in there now. Why from shit from old news clips, though, feels good to hear from them admit it. I thought I dreamed some of that stuff. Yeah, exactly. And so many different people telling us that we were wrong about certain things, and content creators gaslighting us, and saying, "Oh, we know this is a fact." A lot of people like to lie because they've convinced themselves 100%. So they say, "Well, I've convinced myself. I'm going to go ahead and fib because I know that it's 100% correct. So I'm justified in fibbing about little things to help you get on board." That's very dangerous. That's why I don't believe anything unless I can wave it around and kind of hold it in my hand. I went through hoodies, coats, and jacket in the closet. All have some type of hair on the inside sleeves. I found a super long blonde one on Dad's coat. He's bald and his girlfriend is a redhead. Uh-oh. We'll keep that quiet. Yeah, we'll keep that between us. You don't want to get Dad in trouble. But see, there you go. Whose hair is it? Now, if they find your jacket at a crime scene, does that mean that that person's hair belongs to the killer or somebody that was involved? Absolutely not. Thank you for that, Red Queen. Growing crazy. I would like to see the witness list from both sides when we are expecting that. Anyone know? My thoughts is I hope the prosecution has all they need because Richard Allen has been incarcerated for 2 years. Yeah, we'll know by Friday. That's when their prosecution will be providing an opening statement. And whether it's televised or not, those reporters are going to be taking some pretty good notes. And we'll be here to report it. We'll consolidate all of the information that comes out, and you'll have it all in one spot, guys. So we're going to be covering this all the way through. Just the fact that their hair is long enough to be called a strand makes me think of a younger person or woman. So many late middle age, older men are balding or have more super short or shaved hair. That's how mine is. Like I have very thin hair. If I was to kind of shake my hair, you'd have probably 5 or 6 strands of hair for sure. Annette says something that's been bothering me lately is the 3 girls said they saw Richard Allen by description. But has anybody ever said that they saw Abby and Libby there on the trails? Yes, Betsy Blair says she believes she saw Abby and Libby after seeing the bridge guy. So remember, none of these witnesses can identify Richard Allen, from my understanding. But what they are saying is that the person that we saw is the guy in Libby's video. And it's Richard Allen himself who's saying that I am that guy, right? He says, I witnessed these 3 girls. These 3 girls are saying, I witnessed this man. He's saying I was wearing a blue jacket, blue jeans. They're also saying something similar. And so is Betsy Blair. So even though they can't ID him, they're able to look at Libby's video and say, well, the guy that I did see is that guy. The guy I saw is the bridge guy. And Richard Allen came forward and said, well, I am that guy. The guy they saw, that's me. Right, GP? Shane says, CJK totally gets you. I just find it hard with the pattern of events that a hair was random. Don't get me. Now with the undressing, it's possible that the hair was left. I feel the defense will put Kathy on the stand to confess Richard Allen is a good man and husband. Well, I think one of the questions that was asked of the jury from the defense was, do you think it would be beneficial for Richard Allen to take the stand and to confess his innocence? So it sounds like they're kind of weighing their options here. They haven't decided whether or not to put him on the stand. But typically it's a bad choice, But if they can coach him and they can go over what he should and shouldn't say, And he seems like if he is the killer, he's obviously intelligent to know what he should and shouldn't say. If he is the man that killed Abby and Libby, he's been very proactive. He's been malingering when he, which has helped his case. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting. It looks like right now it's undetermined whether or not they're going to put him on the stand, according to what I've gathered from their questions of the jury, or potential jurors. Well, they're putting his daughter on the stand, but I think that's a good move. Because a lot of people are going to speculate, well, if he killed two girls, then he's obviously, molested his own child. But from the beginning, I told you guys, I don't believe that that's true. That wasn't my amateur profile, didn't include him molesting his own child. Because I believe if he did, he would have been more of a suspect. Now, what he did in his own mind, those are things that he kept to himself. And everybody that's known Richard Allen has said, even the hell was his name? I can't remember, but he's the guy that lived across the street from Richard Allen when he lived in Mexico. He said he's very quiet. And the sources that I've spoken with over the last 2 years that actually went to school with Richard Allen, and one of my sources actually drove. Richard Allen was his ride from elementary school all the way through high school. He said he didn't say one word that entire time, the quietest person he had ever met. So that tells me fantasy. He's living in his own mind. And that just happened to spill out on February 13th because of the stressors he was going through and whatever domino effect those stressors had on him, maybe even some substance abuse. We know that he possibly suffers from some mental health issues. So it could have been all the ingredients needed for a tragedy. Oh, 100% Mark Collins. Mental health should be treated better in this country. And we don't have enough advocates for that. Prison isn't the place for most of these folks. But we don't have, what's the alternative? Like a mental facility where they put you in a straitjacket and just over medicate you. I mean, that's basically a prison too, also. Like we need something else. But unfortunately, that's not big business, right? And as much as I agree with capitalism, that's one of the downfalls. And people being lazy and not advocating for the right things. None of your business is they can tell gender, a hair sample by testing carotene levels. And I keep hearing rumors, but I don't know if it's a fact yet that it does belong to a woman and that it's a red hair. So I'm not exactly sure about that. I don't know, Nixon. I'm thinking just notes. They're not allowed to have any electronic devices, so I don't know how they would get audio without holding a recording device unless they're provided something from the court. So I think at the very least, that's what's going to happen. The court will be filming and recording, and maybe at the end of the day, they'll pick and choose what they'll release to the public, to a handful of media outlets. Oh, yeah, 100%, Lady Monet. That's a huge problem for the defense. Okay, you want us to believe that Richard Allen isn't this guy that the prosecution is telling us, and they're almost able to prove it, right? Okay, that's all good and fine, but where was he then? Mr. Rosie, Mr. Baldwin, where was your client? If he's not over here killing Abby and Libby, he's not this guy, he's not the bridge guy being filmed saying down the hill. Where was he? Oh, well, he was all alone driving around, Well, can you prove that? No. That's going to be a huge problem. What's up, Jessica? It was my golden retriever's hair. Thank you for sending those. I appreciate that. So hopefully you guys all did the experiment. 3 out of the 4 hoodies that I checked had actual human hair right at the bottom of the sleeve. And from my understanding, Abby was clutching. She had the sleeves pulled over her hands and balled, and was clutching them, balled into her hands, into a fist. So was she clutching hair, or was she clutching her hoodie that happened to have hair attached to it? So if you guys are just joining, go take a look at your own hoodies, put them inside out, and let me know if you can find random human hair. Gabby, what is? See, this is what I'm referring to when you guys leave comments. Welcome in, Gabby, by the way. But you're saying that's a bit of a stretch, to be honest. I have this horrible delay. I can't read all these comments. I even have you guys on a 20-second delay. So if you could just give me a little bit of context at the beginning, that'll help me know what you're referring to. Lady Monet, hoodies were in Kelsey's car, which transport lots of teen girls brushing hair. Also, it was a Delphi swim team hoodie. Is that in the locker room? Is that being passed around? When I was that age, all my friends, we all shared each other's clothes. We shared each other's shoes. Silas says a single hair easily could be transferred. Yep, and I proved that today, obviously, because I'm not a redhead. My wife doesn't wear any of my hoodies. She steals all of my flannel jackets. Those are the most comfortable. She's always got them. CJK. This garden gnome couldn't have done it. All right, let me zip on down here. Yes, Rain Dancer, there was a DP on there. So I'm assuming it's the Daniel Pearson character. Yeah, even the murder sheet couldn't write them all down. Shelly AH, is that Amber Holder? Maybe. I don't know if she changed her name or not. Let me give a big shout out to TC for the super chat, Sensei for the super chat, and Growing Crazy. Thank you so much for the super sticker. And all of you guys who have been donating to the Cash App and to... Hold on, I got a text. Okay. So yeah, all of you have been donating to the Cash App and the Venmo. So I didn't even know you guys were sending me money. I didn't even know I had a Venmo, but I guess I set it up a couple years back. And you can find that through @SleuthIntuition and the Cash App at $SleuthIntuition. No pressure, but it's you that who continue to donate that make this possible. Otherwise, I'd have to be busy doing something else. Okay, I apologize if I didn't get to your comments, but I am going to be zipping down to the bottom. YouTube Bad Actors, good to see you. The changes in those mugshots is amazing. I like your channel, by the way. I find it highly entertaining. Yeah, it looks like, well, I guess it looks like the same person, but I mean, it'd be hard to recognize him. Right, who did I miss? So once again, if I didn't get to your comments, guys, I apologize. If you really feel like you want to get it to me quickly, you can send me an email. My email is sleuthintuition@gmail.com. And I want to give a big shout out to all of my members. Do not forget later today, guys, we have a members only live stream. So go hit the notifications on that. Harvey, what's up? Here, let me put the thumbnail on the screen. So this is the thumbnail I created for members only. So hopefully I'll see you guys a little bit later today. Farmer, what's up? Sorry about that, Farmer. My bad. Thank you, V. Marie. Good to see you, badass. And if you are part of the replay crew, you know what to do. Drop a comment. We'll get back to you. And everybody who participated in the chat and in that experiment, thank you for sending me those emails. You know, most importantly, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to help you guys understand. And like I said, we're going to stay on top of this whole process. We'll consolidate all the information here on the Sleuth Intuition channel, and we'll do our best to stay up to date on the trial against Richard Allen and Abby and Libby's case out of Delphi. Membership link. I think you have to use the browser, but it should be, I mean, it should be on the channel. I don't have anything to share, but hopefully we'll see you in there. Saska Rose, always good to see you. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And if you need to get a hold of me, like I said, feel free to shoot me an email. That is sleuthintuition@gmail.com. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. I'll catch you on the flip side. Members, don't forget, I'll see you at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Take care, everybody.